What's up, guys? Welcome back to more Reddit stories about entitled people, crazy people, and everything in between. Hope you're all doing awesome today. Be sure to subscribe if you're new here, and as usual, we're getting right into today's Reddit posts. Realtor tells me I can only buy a home within 60 miles from where his home is because he doesn't like driving, resulting in losing out on commission for $1.5 million sale. I found this realtor. He was kind of annoying, but he was also very organized and responsive, even if it was all printed out, so I decided to go with him to buy and sell. And then my friend who was buying also decided to go with him, based on the positive things I told her. Between selling my house, buying a new one, and my friend's new house sale, he would have made commission off a total of $1.5 million in sales. I made it clear that I work remotely and can live anywhere within a couple hours any direction from where I currently live. After looking at 2 homes with him that didn't work, I sent him more listings I wanted to check out. The 2 homes viewed were 10 and 45 minutes from his house. He repeatedly mentioned how glad he was that the one house was so close to his. That house was an extremely rare find and not typical. These 3 listings I wanted to look at were 1.5 hours from his house and were all close to each other. He then tells me all arrogantly, "I don't need the money from being a realtor. I'm retired and just doing it for fun. And I'm not going more than 60 miles, aka minutes, away from my house, because then I'll have to drive out there at least 5 more times for the sale." Now granted, he lives 45 miles away from my house already, so this was impossible as the area he lives in is for very rich people, way out of my price range. So I asked him if he was working with any other realtors in that area that could help me with those viewings, and he said no, he doesn't share sales. So I politely let him know this just isn't going to work out and said I will need to find a new realtor. I hadn't signed any agreements with him to be exclusive. He's furious and repeatedly tells me he can find me a house close to his house, and I don't need to live wherever I wanted to go. I explained to him that's not his choice, and I don't want to be restricted to where he lives for my new home. It was like he was playing role of my dad instead of my realtor. And then he emails me another 4 long entitled emails, doubling down each time about how I only need to live where he's decided I should, for the sole sake of his driving time. He keeps mentioning how he showed me 2 houses already, and I can't do this to him. And then he tells my friend, "I think I made her mad, tell her to respond to me," and repeats the whole thing to her, which was so unprofessional she decided not to go with him either. And then he talked crap about me to the loan officer before finally going away. Good thing he didn't need the money. Landlord wanted us to pay for renovation when moving out. He paid dearly instead. This happened a couple of years ago when my wife and I were moving out of our previous apartment. So moving day comes. Landlord shows up and we walk through the whole apartment with him to hand it over. Even though he has some minor complaints, in the end he agrees to refund the deposit in full, and we part on good terms. A couple days pass, and we get a long, angry voicemail claiming he was renovating and noticed that the room that was my former office smells extremely bad, claiming our cats would have urinated in there repeatedly, and we would need to come back and renovate the room ourselves, or otherwise he'd get a health inspector, contractors, etc. all on our dime to fix. And he means tearing down the wallpapers, replacing the wood flooring, painting the walls, etc. My wife and I are dumbfounded. We do have cats, so we do not dismiss it outright, but we realize that this is basically impossible, as I used the room every day and we had the apartment professionally cleaned before handing it back, and there's just no way that what he's describing was there when we left. Maybe it was a raccoon that got in during the days the apartment was empty or whatever, but it wasn't our fault either way. So we call him to let him know we won't cover it, and he gets really nasty, making all kinds of claims about the state of the apartment, about how we would twist everything and how he would make sure we would pay for this. After 10 minutes of back and forth, I just hang up on him. Expecting a massive bill to arrive at any point after this left us anxious, and really started to mess with our heads during this time. And of course, we don't get our deposit back either. Because of this whole ordeal and seeing my wife being worried about this all the time, I start to become really angry and dive a little deeper into our options. I discover that where we live, if a landlord does not formally claim a reason for holding back a deposit within 6 months of the end of the lease, they are by law required to refund it. So I figure that revenge is a dish best served cold, and we just need to wait it out for another 3 months or so, and after that, it's our turn. I calculate the exact date when the 6 months have passed, and 1 day later just message him to please refund the deposit within 2 weeks. He just replies, "Yeah, sure, buddy." So we wait, no money comes. Then we sent a formal letter setting a second deadline. Again, nothing happens. I was actually hoping for that at this point. So we hire an attorney and let her collect the money on our behalf. The landlord starts claiming all kinds of ridiculous damages, etc., which would let him keep the deposit, which the attorney simply dismisses as the time for claims has passed. Then for some reason, he only pays 80% or so of the amount due, so the attorney has to get at it again to get the full amount. Apparently, he is not realizing that all this is incurring hourly costs for the attorney, which he also has to pay, as he is legally liable to refund. So in the end, he pays the full deposit, interest, and a massive bill for our lawyer far higher than the deposit. Needless to say, we are very happy with the outcome. Once everything is settled, my wife and I just sat in our new home's garden, had a glass of wine, and burned the old rental agreement while planning how to spend the deposit. Dude called the cops because he walked into the danger zone. We recently read another post by the same OP about people wandering into dangerous work areas. There will be a link to that other story in the description. And now they shared another similar situation. Same arborist here. Hi. Was working a crane job removing a 40+ inch diameter maple tree. If anyone is not familiar with tree work with cranes, the crane carries a climber on the end of crane to above the tree, and they rappel down into the canopy, use slings to attach branches, rappel down to where the cut is to be made, pull their rope from the crane attached to below where the cut is going to happen, cut the branch/trunk wood, and the crane floats it away. Our job site is flagged from here to tomorrow, with cones, signs, caution tape, etc. Got all the branches removed and was working with a trunk/spar. Big wood, very heavy. This dude comes ripping into the job site with his car, gets out, starts taking pictures of all our trucks, equipment, personnel. Whatever, all good. Comes up to our ground crew with phone in their face, asking for them to identify themselves. Ground crew informs them they are not the police, and don't have to inform him of anything. He walks over to the crane operator who is running the crane off a remote control fanny pack kind of thing. Tells him to stop. Crane operator tells him to move out of this area because there is a 500-pound piece of junk wood about to come over their heads. Dude argues, pats the crane operator on the back. Crane operator informs him that that pat on the back was his one, and he will not get another. Dude moves to another ground crew and asks again for them to identify themselves. Ground crew walks away while talking to crazy guy to get him out of the drop zone. Dude calls the cops. Cops show up. We tell the cop to chill for a second so we can clear the area of brush, equipment, and to turn everything off. He asks us what happened. We tell him. He talks to the guy. Cop comes back and says, if he touches one of you again, call us back, and we will arrest him. The guy leaves. We finish the job, clock out, have a beer, and shake our collective heads. What the hell? Neighbor has camera that shouts, "Hi, you're being recorded," right outside our bedroom window. We live in an otherwise mostly quiet cul-de-sac. Our neighbor runs a food truck business out of their garage where they fix their truck and get ready in the morning before leaving for the day. This is right outside our bedroom window. Here are several but not all of the past issues. Some she has stopped after talking to her. Running a generator starting at 5 a.m. Running an air compressor starting at 5 a.m. Burning leaves and cardboard for her business in a barrel that puts smoldering ashes on the side of our house. Leaving her dogs outside barking non-stop into the AM hours. Now she has this security camera that constantly shouts, "Hi, you're being recorded." It's so loud that even with our windows closed, fan or AC on, and headphones louder than what is comfortable, we can still hear it clearly. It wakes us up throughout the night. This is especially an issue on breezy nights that make the bushes near the camera shake. but I suspect even animals are setting it off. It's a nuisance that is disturbing our sleep in peace, and it's unnerving to be constantly shouted at that we're being recorded 24/7. We've spoken to her a few times about it, but because we've had to speak to her about the past issues, she's now sick of us always complaining, as she says, "What's your problem with me now?" She's refusing to do anything about the camera, saying, "I can't hear it in my house, so I don't know what your problem is," not understanding that she's behind the speaker that is aimed directly in our direction, not hers. We told her that we've been patient with her, but if she's not going to allow us to sleep at night, then we'll have to start calling the police. She said, "I don't care, and what are the police going to do anyway? Nothing." So at this point, I don't know where this leads, at least during the night when it's curfew, 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. Karen was not happy that my baby was in a stroller. This happened when my kid was 6 months old. We were out and about one morning doing errands in our neighborhood. Even though the sidewalk in this area is generously sized, I am always conscious of sharing the sidewalk, especially when there is a stroller in the mix. So there we were, walking down the right side of the sidewalk, when I spot a lady walking towards us. She is walking smack dab in the middle, and when she spots us, she loudly yells, "Excuse me, coming through. Keep your eyes open. I am walking." I was truly confused by this, so I turned around to see if there was someone behind me that was taking up the width of the sidewalk. There was a younger couple walking a few strides behind, also on the right side, looking equally confused. As she is passing us, with tons of space on her side, she looks me straight in the face and says, "I am a fragile old lady. You people need to watch it." Normally, I would simply not engage, but I guess the "you people" tipped me over the edge. I am Asian. So I calmly replied, "You're fine. If you can't see how much space there is left for you, perhaps you should get your eyes checked." She started sputtering. Low-key, I think she was surprised that I knew English, and took a totally different angle with, "Well, your baby shouldn't be in a stroller. He needs to be walking." More confusion. I just said, "He's 6 months old. He hasn't started walking yet." To which she goes, "He's clearly not walking yet because you keep him in a stroller." There was literally nothing to be upset about, but I still got yelled at for, checks notes, using a stroller? Still not sure what happened. Alright everyone, that's it for today's stories. Thank you for watching, I appreciate it. Be sure to drop a like and subscribe for more Reddit content. So take care, I'll see you next time.